Vechain's price has been going down, like Bieber on Diddy. Too soon? Maybe. Hi and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick and we are going to be taking a look at the price action of Vechain, taking a look at where price action is heading in my humble opinion. As I get into today's video, smash that fucking like button, guys. I really appreciate that. If you're new, subscribe and you won't miss another video update. Let's get right down into this video. So Vechain's price action has been a little bit negative. It has been slipping to the downside as predicted. I'm just going to throw a fucking load of these kind of sayings out there just for the shits and giggles of it. So basically we're kind of talking about this move to the downside, right? We are, of course, talking about the price action dropping down to the potential of 2.940 to 3.226, right? We covered that off in the previous video. There was also the more conservative area between 3.131 and 3.435. And there's an overlapping area right in the middle here between 3.3131 and, of course, the 3.2. And that is where I think we're likely to find the support here for Vechain. Okay, so at the moment, we have lost the 200-day exponential moving average. That's the white line going through the chart here. We have the 50 exponential moving average, the blue line, and the 50 simple moving average, the yellow line. And you can see how the price action is now lower than all of them. The positive news is at the moment that the 50 EMA and the 50 SMA is still technically higher than the 200 EMA. However, I do think that is short-lived, as we do see here that these smaller timeframes are on a collision course for the 200 EMA. That's going to create a death cross situation where, unfortunately, the bears are going to absolutely love it, and the bulls are going to basically run and hide like little girls. That's kind of the idea. Anyway, nonetheless, we can see that Vechain's price action has been a little bit negative and it has been slipping to the downside. The positive news, things that the bulls are going to want to hear, well, is short term. This is not a long-term trend to the downside. Vechain's price action has actually been stacking up quite well at the moment. So we can see here that there's a lot of overlapping candlesticks. Let me show you a few things that are going on from an EWT point of view. That's Elliott wave theory for anyone who doesn't know. You can see here that this is a short-term corrective move to the upside. You can also see that we have here a corrective move coming to the downside. And right where we are at the moment, we have also a corrective action. But this corrective action is deeper than the others, and it does cause a bit of a problem. Let me show you using the Fibonacci retracement tools here, because this potential problem means that we might actually be looking for a 5-wave move to the downside, although we have already just met its 1-to-1. It's actually a little bit short of its 1-to-1 right down there at 3.229. Okay, so it's getting potentially close to it. Anything lower than 2.541 is going to be a 335 correction rather than just a simple 3-wave pattern. Okay, so we want to be aware that there's a pretty interesting structure forming out here on the daily time frame, but at the moment it does consist of just 3 waves, and we're targeting out that little area down here between 2.940 and 3.226, right? And that overlap, as I said, between 3.131 and the 3.229 is the area that I'm looking for us to find support and reversals to the upside, right? A little bit complicated maybe if you're not familiar with some of the terms that I'm throwing around out here. Join us in the Discord. It's free. Links in the description below. Lots of resources to help you understand what I'm talking about. Now, if we throw on smart money concepts, we can see here that we're still technically in bullish patterns, bullish structures on SMC, smart money concepts, and nothing has changed there. It's still looking very positive for Vechain, right? We've got some minor changes going on, but nothing major. So smaller timeframes are looking a little bit bearish, but on the macro, daily, weeklies, actually things are not too bad. They're actually in pretty decent positions. We are lower than equilibrium, which essentially is a 50% area between the discounted price range and the premium price range, right? Where you're paying a discount and where you're paying a premium. Equilibrium essentially is 50% between those two levels, and usually it acts as support or resistance. Because price is currently lower than equilibrium, equilibrium also coinciding with the 50 SMA, 50 EMA, it's going to be resistance. And that currently sits up there at about 3.9 to 4 cent. So a heavy resistance right up there at the moment from a smart money concepts point of view. Otherwise, smart money concepts isn't actually that bad. It's showing us with all of this being short term, no major issues. We filled out the fair value gaps, and yeah, we could potentially see a reversal, although I would expect some resistance around equilibrium. As we go ahead and take SMC off, throw on the VPVR, zoom out of the VPVR here for a second. This shows you the volume profiles and where the volumes are, or historically were, and where they are likely to be again. And we can see that actually where we are, there's actually a reasonable amount of volume right in this range. So a lot of volume was at the 2.9 cent area. There's a little bit less around that 3.1 to 3.2. So it could be interesting to see whether or not there's actually going to be any volume to be buying up at that range. And of course, it has a peak of volume up at 4.6 cent as well. So a lot of people were potentially participating in the buying and selling at that slightly higher range. Some people will definitely be trapped out in their positions at the moment on the VPVR. We had the great 5-wave pattern to the upside. So all of this is just corrective action. This is a great place to be, but it is, of course, really quite conservative on terms of its retracement, because the retracement of the price action here for Vechain is only just hitting into, will be hitting into, in my opinion, the 38.2% retracement, which is, the lowest point where, or the easiest point for a wave 2 to come in. Would be very interesting. I would be more keen to see the price action really come back down more towards 2.692, as this is the area of previous resistance. I'd like to confirm it as support, as we've already done once before. But also it'd be the 50% level of the retracement of the move to the upside. Puts us in a much stronger position for another run to the upside, in my opinion. That being said, though, I think Vechain's well positioned for a fantastic run to the upside. Let's go ahead and take a look at where we sit on the stochastic RSIs. All oversold on the weekly, daily, 8 hour, looking pretty good. But as I said earlier, the smaller time frame, the 1 hour, not so good. So we are looking for some volatility on the smaller time frames. But the macro time frames, the daily, the weekly, they're all looking pretty good. Nothing too much to kind of be too concerned with there. While we're here, we might as well take a look at the RSI, the relative strength index. That's the yellow line, and divergences against price. Nothing going on here. We're down lower than the 50 level though, so we are in a bearish area for Vechain's price action at the moment. But momentum can, of course, shift and change as it needs to. So nothing much to really kind of say there. The MACD is an absolute garbage indicator. I hate this one, but a lot of people use it. So I've been kind of trying to kind of incorporate it a little bit, but man, it's garbage. We can see that the MACD is a very laggy indicator. It shows us with what's already happening. And it's basically just showing you the negative histogram. Obviously, the moving average is down lower than the mid-level. So yeah, it's bearish, but we can see that from the price charts using tools that are more accurate, in my opinion. So yeah, everything else on like the momentum indicators all looking actually okay. I'm not too concerned about any of that. And yeah, the daily charts are actually pretty primed for a bit of a run to the upside, but I'm looking for a little bit further to the downside first. Roll this up into a weekly time frame. Obviously, I'm targeting out that kind of 3.1 cent area. That does show us with the idea that the next surge goes up towards 13.1 to 18.4. That's going to be a great area for the price action of Vechain. Hopefully, we can actually get a rally higher than 31. That would actually indicate an impulsive breakout where we see Vechain actually then going up into a significant surge to the upside in a bigger 5-wave pattern. Let me show you what that would be. Right, we have the first 5 waves here, for example. We would have to see a really big kind of 5-wave pattern come up here to achieve higher than 1.618. It does this, then this can be considered a wave 1, wave 2, all of this is a wave 3, come down for a 4, go up into a 5, right? And that's kind of what we're looking for, because that's kind of what I've seen historically, and that's what I'm looking for here as well. So that's kind of the way that we are kind of targeting out here for Vechain. So, although at the moment we have the conservative target ranges of 13 to 18 cent, I can see potential runs higher, but we obviously need to see these things come to fruition first, right? Otherwise, it's just pure speculation and gambling. We have tools here that use probability, and that's kind of what I'm dealing with. So here we can see on the weekly time frame, we have the overlapping candlesticks and the moves to the downside in the lower highs, lower lows situation, which will have a break to the upside as we find support here on the weekly 200 EMA, weekly 50 EMA, and weekly 50 SMA. All, of course, lower than price action, indicating we are actually quite bullish. We'll look for the 50 SMA to cross higher than the weekly 200 EMA, and that will be your golden cross. So I think we are in a really good spot spot here for VeChain. It's just going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of patience before we actually see this thing unfolding. As I said earlier, we're oversold, so plenty of momentum to shift back to the upside. Go ahead and throw on the divergence indicator, just dipping down lower than the 50 level. So it could be a little bit bearish here for a bit longer, holding in the oversold area on the stochastic while we correct down a little bit more here on the RSI. No divergences being indicated on the divergence indicator. For shits and giggles, we'll throw in the MACD, still shows us with bearish movements, but it's only showing you the most recent bearish movements. So I suspect that we are likely to see reversals much sooner. For example, here, if we actually reflect on this histogram just for shits and giggles, we can see that we actually started to see this negative price histogram here on the MACD, and it stayed red even though whilst we were starting to surge to the upside. You can see here it doesn't really turn green until you get to the peaks of these movements, and then it starts to reverse on you, right? So where we are right now at the peak of this potential red area is basically where I start to see reversals. MACD can be quite how do I phrase it? Misleading, right? It's not going to be showing you everything that you need to see, in my humble opinion. But on VeChain, yeah, I think everything's looking pretty beautiful right now. I think we've got some more, better prices to see in the kind of coming weeks and maybe months, but it is looking pretty good. So, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in your opinions in the comments down below. If you found this video useful, smash that like button, guys. I really appreciate that. Subscribe if you're new, and if you haven't done so yet, check out this video where I discuss what the fuck's going on with XRP.